Okay, you can run, you can hide, but you can't escape The Thing. And now it's back. For a second time. But is it actually worth a watch? Matthias von Hennigan Jr.'s 2011 prequel to John Carpenter's 1982 horror masterpiece The Thing is a divisive film that left most fans of the original feeling left out in the cold. For some reason, though, it's one of the hottest things on Netflix right now. Some folks who love Carpenter's version might have found faults with any prequel or sequel, but this version reportedly endured a troubled production with lots of studio meddling, and ended up being a victim of its own marketing hype. So why is it suddenly trending on Netflix? Are new fans without all of that baggage discovering it for the first time? Or are old ones finally giving it a long overdue reappraisal? Well, here's the thing about 2011's The Thing. It's not nearly as bad as some people might have you believe. Sure, there are some serious problems with the computer-generated special effects, but the movie is an interesting and frightening addition to Thing lore. Whatever the reason for its current popularity on Netflix, it's always a good time to give a maligned movie another chance. So how exactly does the 2011 Thing fit into the grand scheme of things? Instead of taking the direct remake route, the movie takes place before the events of the 1982 version, showing what happened to the Norwegian team that faced the creature before Kurt Russell's MacReady and the rest of the American team.
Nobody trusts anybody now.
That means that fans get to see not only the original alien creature, but also plenty of new transformations. What's more, the characters are all also new, so no one is trying to outdo Russell, Keith David, or any of the other incredible performers from the beloved 80s movie. Nevertheless, some fans can't help but compare the two stories. As a result, they see the 2011 version as an abomination, when in reality, no movie could ever live up to the brilliance of Carpenter's icy terror. The cast of the prequel has a couple of heavy hitters, with Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Kate Lloyd, a no-nonsense paleontologist who ends up kicking some serious alien butt when push comes to shove. Joel Edgerton plays Sam Carter, a Vietnam vet and helicopter pilot, helping to supply the Antarctic bases. And Christopher Hivju plays a sweet but shy Norwegian scientist named Jonas. Not all of them make it to the end, of course, but that's to be expected when dealing with a creature like The Thing. The biggest problem plaguing the prequel is that the filmmakers originally planned to mix practical effects with digital effects, but they ended up going with almost entirely digital effects after a negative test screening. There wasn't even an opportunity to release the version featuring the practical effects because it was an unfinished test cut at the time, and Universal wasn't about to dump millions more into an alternate cut of a movie that flopped at the box office. On the other hand, the John Carpenter film had practical special effects courtesy of Robert Botten, and they're absolutely incredible. Botten utilized all kinds of prosthetics, animatronics, and puppets, creating enough nightmarish creatures and terrible transformations to give nightmares to an entire generation. Early marketing for the 2011 version focused heavily on the practical effects, but unfortunately, they would never see the light of day. Footage of some of the scenes and screen tests revealed that the makeup and prosthetics were more or less fantastic, meaning that we almost had a perfect prequel to Carpenter's movie. To its credit, the prequel pays heavy homage to the Carpenter film, which is itself an adaptation of a 1938 novella called Who Goes There? And the 2011 movie features plenty of neat moments that harken back to what makes the 1982 film so great. The prequel doesn't try to replicate the dynamics between the men from its source material, however, as the cast is more diverse, featuring both men and women. The 1982 Thing movie is a fascinating dissection of gender and how men behave in tense, paranoid situations. But the prequel has less on its mind. It's a bit simpler and a lot messier, but it still features some great performances and a few fun horror moments. By comparing it directly to Carpenter's masterpiece, fans are depriving themselves of the chance to enjoy another pretty decent Thing movie, only with slightly crummier special effects.